Good afternoon and welcome to our Wednesday Word Empowerment. I'm going to wait for you to see our family come on. Good afternoon, and this is Covenant Kingdom Fellowship Church, and this is our Wednesday Word Empowerment. From the beginning of this year, we've been talking about the step shift. I'm going to come and I'm going to talk about living set and circle. I'm going to come from Genesis 13. But before I go to Genesis 13, I want to talk about the last time Abraham was, we seen Abraham in Abram in Genesis chapter 12. The last time we occurred Abraham in Genesis chapter 12 is when he was running out of Egypt, or he was put out of Egypt in Genesis 12:11. When he was about to enter into Egypt, he said to Sarai, his wife, I know that you are a woman, beautiful in appearance. That's Genesis 12:18-19. And Pharaoh called Abram and said, what is this you have done to me? That's when Abraham and Sarah had said they went to Egypt because of the famine. 18 says, and Pharaoh called Abram and said, what is this you have done to me? Why did you not tell me that she was your wife? That's Genesis 12:19. Why did you say she is my sister? I might have taken her as my wife. Now therefore, here is your wife. Take her and go away. Pharaoh kicked Abram and his wife and all his kingdom out of Egypt. When it was all said and done, God intervened and saved their marriage and his covenant. He saved his marriage and his covenant because of the promise. He caused protection to happen unto them because he told them in Genesis 12 that he was going to be blessing. He was blessing on anyone that blessed Abraham and cursing on anyone that cursed Abraham. This is Sarah. When it was all said and done, God intervened and saved their marriage and his covenant. This is Sarah was saved from being forcibly made the wife of an Egyptian group. Abraham was removed, and their whole group was made to get out of Egypt with an escort in Genesis 12:20. The whole thing would have been avoided if Abraham had taken into account the promises of God. The promises of God, number one, was protection. The next promise of God for him was provision. The provision of him that he was going to name a nation and bless to be a blessing. He was going to have a nation and he was going to be a blessing to be blessed. The action of providing or supplying something or use, furnishing, delivering, and equipment is called provision. Now in chapter 13 continues with Abraham leaving Egypt and going back to Nadab. And he is with Lot. So Abraham went up from Egypt, he and his wife and all that he had, and Lot with him into Nadab. Verse number 2. Now Abraham was very rich in livestock, in silver and in gold. So here in verse number 2, God had blessed him even though in tough situations and tough seasons. God had blessed him even in tough situations, even in times of recession and tough situations. God provided for the family. When there doesn't seem to be a way, God still keeps his promise. Verse number 3 says, and he journeyed on from Nadab as far as Bethel to the place where his tent had been in the beginning, between Bethel and Ai, to the place where he had made an altar at first. And there Abram called upon the name of the Lord. Abraham here would have a place of worship and have a relationship with God. I see throughout this chapter in verse 12 and 13 where every time God promised Abraham something, he always worshiped and made an altar for God. God would speak to him, and after God would give him direction, Abram would make a worship, and then he'll make an altar to God. Verse number 5 says, and Lot, the one that wasn't part of the promise. Lot just went with him. And Lot, who went with Abraham, also had flocks, herds, and tents. Lot was a beneficiary of the relationship that Abram had with God. For me, it's an interesting thing we learn when we walk with God and have a relationship with God. Those who are in relationship with us usually benefit from the blessings. They're beneficiaries of the blessing that God has for us. Verse number 6 says, so that the land could not support both of them dwelling together, for their possessions were great, that they could not dwell together. And there was a sacrifice between the herdsmen of Abram's livestock and the herdsmen of Lot's livestock. At that time, the Canaanites and the Perizzites were dwelling in the land. They was already wealthy, but they had become so wealthy that they had argument between themselves. They began to have argument between themselves. You ask, what's the practical application for me to use in my life is this. Sometimes in our lives, God can bless us so much that our blessings become too much, that we become the thing that causes bickering in the family. You begin to argue about who, what, and how much more or has, whoever has, the other has more. It's no longer about God. It's no longer about God needs to provide for us. It's about how much I have in my possessions. We ask God to provide for us. And in the midst of God providing for us, the people that are our beneficiaries, they see what God blesses us with. And in their eyes, they get envious and they get jealous about what the provider has provided for us. They get caught up in the provision. At the same time, they don't understand the sacrifice or the call that we've answered to because God had called us. Verse number 8 says, then Abram said to Lot, let there be no strife between you and me, and between herdsmen and your herdsmen and my herdsmen, for we are kinsmen. Abram said his family is more than money, than anything. Let not bickering come between family relationship. Verse number 9. It is not the whole land before you. Separate from me. If you take the left hand, then I will go to the right. But if you take the right hand, then I will go to the left. Lot looked around. Abram gave Lot a choice. Abram could have chose whatever place that he wanted to take up residence for himself, but he wasn't interested in what Lot was interested in. Basically, Abram was interested in doing the will of God. Lot was interested in being the beneficiary of what Abram had possessed. But Lot had just as much as Abram had. But Lot wanted more.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want the things of God because of the fact that God didn't speak the promise to Lot. He spoke the promise to Abram. Abram tagged along. And because Lot tagged along. And because Lot tagged along, Lot began to see the favor of God that was on Abram's life. Lot wasn't interested in being humble. Abram was interested in being humble. Abram's humbleness believes at this point, Abram knows that God is his provider. He had blanketed himself with love and compassion only God could give him. The compassion that he had for Lot is through his long suffering that he was having through his walk to his promised land. Abram learned long suffering after the fact when he went to Egypt and he got put out. He didn't understand his purpose and his plan until he got put out of Egypt by Pharaoh because of the decisions that he had made out of his flesh. He made a fleshly decision to go to Egypt because of the famine that was in the land. Verse number 10. And Lot lifted up his eyes and saw that Jordan Valley was well watered everywhere, like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt in the direction of Zoar. This was before the Lord destroyed Sodom. Verse number 11. So Lot chose for himself all the Jordan Valley, and Lot journeyed east. Thus they separated from each other. Abram settled in the land of Canaan, while Lot settled among the cities of the valley and moved his tent as far as Sodom. Verse number 13 says, Now the men of Sodom was very wicked against sinners, against the Lord. At this point, I want to say, before they continued, Lot looked with his eyes in a natural state and made a decision to move his family where there was the most financial opportunity. Here is a problem that we have a lot. Sometimes when there is the most financial opportunity, there is also a great opportunity for sin, pain, wickedness, and distraction in all of it. He moved to the worst place he could possibly because his eyes was caught up with wealth. And the craziest thing about this is Lot was already wealthy, as I said before. When we get to this point in the story, Lot's life depicted that which Abraham in a materialistic state. It depicted it because both of them had lots of herdsmen, lots of cattle, all of them had that. Lot placed his family in a position that was not wise and was destructive to their future. That's because it wasn't his promise. It wasn't his answer to the call. Now here was something else crazy to me. We learn in this and other chapters, it is not only did he cost Lot, not just his family, but financially as well. Abraham gave up a choice, and he provided from his heart. Abraham gave a choice, and he provided from his heart. Verse number 14. The Lord said to Abram, after Lot had separated from him, lift up your eyes and look from the place where you are, northward and southward, eastward and westward, from all the land that you see, I will give to you. and to your offspring forever. He basically says, I know you let Lot go that way. He says, look around. Look at this way, look at that way. All of this is yours. I already promised you that this is yours. God said, that's fine, let him have it. He can go, let him have it. He wasn't concerned about Lot. He says, Abraham, I'm giving it to you. I'm giving it to your children. I'm giving it to your descendants. I'm giving it as a part of your legacy. Verse number 16 says, I will make your offspring as the dirt of the earth, dust of the earth, so that if one can count the dust of the earth, your offsprings also can be counted. Arise, walk through the length and the breadth of the land, for I will give you. So Abraham moved his tent and began to settle by the oaks of Mamre, which at Hebron. And there he built an altar to the Lord. Right here it says that Abraham and Lot separated their ways, and that Lot picked finances over family and his walk with God. And it says that Abraham was visited by God after he and Lot went their separate ways. God says to Abram, look, Abram, I'm not just going to bless you. I'm going to bless you for generations to come. He says, listen, if you keep walking with God and keep journeying with God, he's going to continue to be your shield and your exceeding great reward. In Genesis 15:1 said, where God would say to Abram, I am your shield, your exceeding great reward. He says, I'm your shield first, and I'm your covering first. I'm your reward second. But don't worry, Abraham. I'm both. He's all in all. Trust God. Put God first in every area of your life. Answer the call to shift. Don't worry while answering the call to shift. And like it was with Abram, he'll be your shield. He'll be your protection. He'll protect your family. Yeah. He will also be your exceeding great reward. And he will also be you and your family. He will be your blessing as well. When you answer the call, you don't stop being like Lot and be like God. Lead a family to the promised land. Lead a family to what God has promised for your family. When you answer the call by faith, bear the fruits of generosity also. When you answer the call by faith, fight against animosity, as Abram did with Lot. He had no animosity against Lot because he was kindred. Anything that Abram had, Lot could have also. When you answer the call of God, when God give you time to retreat, to rest. When you answer the call to God, God give you time to retreat. God give you time to rest. God give you also time to request and to recognize his goodness. So Father, we thank you for this Bible study. We thank you for everything that has been said. We ask that the words that came out of my mouth minister to someone else. We thank you and we praise you.